everybody. This is a little guide to helper guide. I've got a new package for Windows and Linux, and it's RCBot2 with SourceMod for Windows and Linux, single player, and it includes some mods. So first is, this is not for dedicated server use. This is for single player, listen server, and basically we're going to install some MetaMod, SourceMod, RCBot2 in one package in the downloads, and then we're going to configure some launch options so that plays. It comes with a lot of plugins, which I'll attempt to show you. There's quite a bit, and it's pre-configured. Like I said, these are ready to go after you install some folders and files, configure your launch options with the insecure command to start, otherwise the plugins won't start. And you do have the option of putting in a desktop shortcut if you want to play online and play offline. There's something in the index that I'll show you later, but basically we download, place the files in the correct folders, and then we make some binds, 3 binds, and then we start, we configure the Steam library launch options, or make a special desktop shortcut. So you can read this bit here. Basically what this is, I've got a guide in the Steam guide section for Data Feed. It's a long-winded thing. Installing RCBot2 is not easy if you're starting from scratch. If you're a new player, you just want to try bots, and there's a guide for doing this. This takes it to another level because we install MetaMod, which is a plugin, and then RCBot2 is a plugin of that, and so is SourceMod. Normally we just put in the box program and MetaMod, but seeing MetaMod's there, you can install SourceMod, and SourceMod is very difficult to configure. This is much easier because it's not only installed, it's pre-configured with a set of plugins that work for Dave Defeat Source, and that's important. It's very hard to get everything working, but that guide there, basically this will replace it, take it a step further for Windows and Linux. While we've got MetaMod on there and we've got RCBot2 running, why not install a heap of plugins and give you some more game modes? It's like, let's just run through them. Extended map configs, that's a plugin that helps control commands and mod plugins and mods. So it's like a base. We have gun game, medic, parachute. This one here, command time traveler, helps with the loading method, which I'll show you later. It's an automatic loading method that brings in a set class set for a 12 or a 16 or a 20 or a 24 or a 30 bot server. Normally when you start RCBot2, controlling the amount of MGs and snipers and rocket is just about impossible. And you end up with too many of one sort. Well, you can configure it with this. I've pre-configured it to have less MGs, say on a 12-player server, 6 versus 6 on DoD and Zio. You can pick what you want, but the bots are going to only load off a particular pre-configured set. So there's about 3 to 4 riflemen and 1 assault, 1 support class, and 1 sniper. No MGs, no rockets. if you go up to 16-player servers, we start to bring in more of the camp class MGs, and 20 more come in, and it's not overbearing like the standard way. Anyway, so first thing is to download. I've emptied out my DoD feed, so I'm starting from scratch, like you would if you're a new player. I've got a completely raw DoD defeat folder. So you download the files, just click that. This is for Windows, download it here. Linux, same thing. They're basically the same, but the mods, SourceMod, MetaMod, require you to have a Linux or Windows version. So whatever your OS is, just download that file. So in the index of this article, which helps you install, this video will support it. Do read this a bit about performance. Basically, all it is I tested it under Linux, a Ryzen 5 2700, I think it was, or a decent i5 will do. 16 gigabytes RAM, probably get away with 8. 16 would be better. The video card choice, because we got so many bots and strain and mods, make sure you have a good video card. Your frames per second are going to drop if you put 30 bots and mods on a server. With this spec, it's pretty low spec gaming PC. I usually, the one in Linux was just touching on 300 frames per second. At the worst, it dropped down to 150. So, but when you reduce the bots, you reduce the bot amount, get down to 12 and 16, and that sort of level, it becomes acceptable. So you can run older spec PCs, 7 to 10 years old, but the amount of bots will help you if you start seeing frames per second drop in a game. Okay, next section, install the files. We need to go through this process, and a lot of people struggle here because it's not like a Windows installer. We're going to find where our DoD, DoD defeat source folder is, and DoD, and work with the files and look at the download. There's a couple of options in there. In the Linux one, there's an optional HUD fix if you want to download that, and there's maps. They're optional because I don't know what maps you've got in your folder. I've put some sample maps in this one. So I'm going to install some gun game maps, and obviously, single player won't have them. You might have them from another server, but just check. There'll be a little check. And after the files are inserted in the right place, we can go and check it. And then we can put some binds in there to run the SourceMod admin and a couple of plugins, Medic and Jetpack. So let's get into it. How we find our DoD defeat folder is quite easy. If you go to your Steam library, and I have to keep the game running, so this will probably be okay. Right click. It says in the directions, right click, go to manage, browse local files, right? So it's opened up in the DoD defeat source, right? Folder. And that's important for Linux, really, only because in the bin folder of Linux, there's a couple of missing files that stop plugins working. I've got them in the Linux download, so you'll be copying out of your download a DoD and a bin folder in Linux. For Windows, you're just going to copy a DoD folder. So let's go. I'll open up another window here. Let's go to my downloads where I've downloaded the Windows version. I'm on Windows at the moment. I've opened it up. I've extracted it and opened it up. There's an optional HUD fix and maps. That's the first thing you got to do is, what maps have I got? You can go into your local DoD. Normally you would put them here for a listen server, and they'll be listed here, and you can check them day of defeat. So if this is the correct folders they should be installed in. So DoD custom. And there are the maps there. Open this one up, maps. There's 2 there. You might have them, you might not. Your maps might also be in maps. They might also be in download, depending if you got them from a server or not. But in this case, if this is a fresh install, I haven't been online or anything. So as it says in the instructions, in the README, it'll tell you to go to the day of defeat source folder. You can just copy over DoD there, or just keep opening them up. See the custom folder. That's where they end up. Copy, paste, or drag and drop. They're installed. Now we get back to the main. There's a README in there too, by the way. Do the same here. Go back. We're in the day of defeat source folder, and here's where the main mods are. Add-ons folder, CFG, custom. And again, in that custom folder, in a dedicated server, these would go in another folder, but this is a listen server, and I've put them in DoD custom, so you can go and uninstall them easier. Anyway, so we've got the DoD folder. We can do the same thing here. Copy that folder, or drag and drop, paste. All the files are now from these ones that added a custom, and these files here are required. That's all been added in here now. So that's the install. It's pretty easy. We'll get back to the guide. So now you've installed it. Let's get back to here and we've checked the optional HUD fix. The files, we've inserted them. Now, this is to run it and make it work. We need MetaMod source needs a insecure option, launch option. And there's 2 ways to put that in. You can put them in a desktop shortcut. I'll show you that later. You don't have to. If you only play Day of Defeat through your Steam library and you only play offline, you just put this in and that's it, you're done. But let's look how to do that. We go back to the Steam library. So right click on that, properties. Launch options are under the general tab. And as it says in there, minus insecure. And then if you want another optional one, that Valve logo, the little movie that comes up all the time, you can also cancel that out in here by no video, and that won't play. And because we're in insecure mode, the bots will launch. And so if you went to play this online, so that's the install done, by the way. If we went to play this online now, and this is in my other guide, because it's an insecure server mode, you go and try and play online, you're going to get this message. You are in insecure mode. You have to take that insecure mode out to play on online secure servers. That's why if you do both in the index, there's this one here, optional desktop shortcut, one for Linux, tells you how to make one, and then what to put in there. You find out in Linux, this is where your steam.sh, like an exe, is located. Yours will be different. It'll be your home username, .steam, steam.sh. And then you put in launch options after that. App launch, minus app launch. space 300 starts DoD. Insecure, same thing, insecure serves Nova. If you put that in the right place in the command area, this example is Arch based. It's an Arch based distro. That's a little bit different for other. If you put that in there, it's going to launch day of defeat source, and it's going to put it in insecure mode, right? And also in here is how to find your Steam SH under Linux. And also we go down here to the bottom. In Ubuntu, it's a little bit different than Arch-based distro is on there. It's about the same thing for finding it, and it's just the properties box in the shortcut looks a bit different. There's the one for Windows. I do have on my desktop, I've got a day of defeat source plug-in with all this, the address in, and the same thing. You're looking for your steamcmd and then putting these launch options in. Full instructions are on that page. You can't really go wrong step by step. After you've done that, you can play online by your Steam play button in your Steam library, or you can just bring up the desktop shortcut, run it, and it's going to start it in insecure mode. So it's a lot of reading, but basically that's all we're doing. We've just installed the files, and we have put that launch option in, and the game will run. Let me close this down and start it up again. The screen will go black. Quit. And play. I hope the screen went black and not completely disappeared. So now that we have that in, we still haven't got 3 binds that are needed in there, but we can test the server. And running this server, as I said before, it's got a special way of loading bots other than the normal way. Pick your map in the Create Server box, and then go over to Game tab. It'll be like this. There's all sorts of things we can do in here. You can name the server. You can the max players is the max players command, and we can select like 12, the minimum, and we don't need a password or anything like that. You can set your time, 20 minutes, whatever you like. Set it at 0. The map goes forever. Friendly fire, allow flashlight. But basically, starting the server is as easy as that. Just the server amount of bots you have. This is 6 versus 6. You and 11 bots. We'll start it up. And you can tell that game will restart in 0. That is, the plugins are working. You can see the bots are joining. I'll select something, and you can see we're adding bots every second till we get up to 6, and it's evened it out. There's a plugin in there that will make sure the bots are even. That's it. Everything's installed. Off they go, but you're going to need to get to the SourceMod admin menu. You need a bind for that. The plugin Jetpack needs a bind for that, and there's MetaMod on this server where you get down to below 25% health, and you can press a bind and get more health up to 100%. Do that about 2 or 3 times. I think I've got it set. Okay, so we'll just get out. Disconnect the game. We'll leave that up. Go back to here. So we've gone through, done all that. We've tested it. Yes, it works. Insecure mode and all that stuff. Tested the files. Now we get to this point here. We need to make some binds. And if you don't know what the developer console is, some people know and they go, oh, okay, what are the binds? They're down here. There's the 3 binds. And I'll just take you through, because this is a fresh install, what it says here. It shows you a link of what the developer console is. You can press escape, we just did that. Open options in the main menu. Keyboard, advanced, enable the developer console, then open it by pressing the title key, which is that key, and it's just below your escape. Go off and read this article if you have a different kind of keyboard. Mine's US. We'll do that now, that little set. Options, advanced, there it is there. Enable the developer console. You can select fast switch, I normally do. It's okay. Apply it. So now it says press the title key to bring up the developer console. There it is. And now we can enter those binds I just showed you. We can enter them in here to get the admin menu. The format works like this: bind, space, and we're going to put some the key in a quote. I like F11 for my admin key, and then a space, more quotes, and then the command SM admin. That will open up the admin menu when I press F11. So submit. That's now written to my config ini file, a config.cfg file in DoD config folder. We do the same. I'm going to cut and paste here. That's my preference. You can pick another key. Actually, that's not my preference. That does work though. Medic, mouse 3. I'll go mouse 5 for mine, for this particular mouse. You pick what you want. I found like Medic on 5 and Jetpack on 4 works okay for the mouse I've got. And we'll put the last one. Do these one at a time. Put the last one in. There's my Jetpack. Mouse 4. Submit. Now that'll be in my config, and that's permanent. I can change that by doing those commands again, picking another key, or manually editing. To get rid of that, we'll create another server. This time we'll go up and like 16. I pick whatever I want, but the bots, when they load, they will the class that loads is controlled by a file, and then when I start up a particular map, it's going to load a set of bots, as you can see there. I've got no MGs yet because I picked 16. If I go up to 20, I'll get MGs. So I'm controlling the camp classes very tightly with this special loading system. But anyway, we've done the binds. I'm going to press F11. I've got an admin screen now. Lots of things you can do in SourceMod. Those that are used to it, I don't have to explain what's in here, but like the medic. There's my mouse 5. If I was down below 25% health, let's see if I can do that without killing myself. So that looks like it's down far enough. I press I press mouse 5 again, and I've got a percentage of health back. You can do that twice, I think. One health kit, yeah, one health kit remaining. You do that twice during a match. You can set all that in the plugin, but that's how I've got it set for you. So fun modes, that's medic out of the way. So in this menu, I've pressed F11 to get it up, and then if I press 1, it goes off to Jetpack. Jetpack is not enabled by default, but I do enable it on some maps, some of the test maps, and you can do the same thing. Now press 1, and 1 again, I'll turn it on. Now I've got Jetpack, and I've got that on mouse 4. Might be able to get away from that. I'll press it again. As you see, I'm not moving, but you can hear a sound. The game volume turned down, and it's not moving, right? You're stuck to the ground. It's a bit jittery. Just move or jump a bit. Let go of the bind, press the bind. And then the other plugin, we might enable that. Parachute. So I'll enable that. Press selection 2, then 1. Now we've got parachute. We'll go up, jetpack, jump. You can see that when you get stuck to the ground, it's better to start off first, then press jetpack, get stuck. And now for parachute, you don't need a key. You don't need to bind a key, because as you fall, I'll press the use key, which is E for most people. And now I've got a parachute. You can probably see the parachute shadow there. So that's that mode. We'll press F11, we go straight back to the menu, or you can press the back, which is 8, and gun game. Press that. If I wanted to, I can call a gun game on any map. It'll just pre-configure, take everyone's weapons away, and you start the gun game, which is cycling through different weapons, and the first person to get through all the weapons, about 20 levels, wins the game. Go press 8 to go back. Looks like they capped out without me. Player commands, just standard player commands. You won't use this much on a listen server. Press 9 for next. All the things you can do to the bots. Press F11 again to get back. Server. This is where you can go, choose a map, and as you can see, I'll talk about this later on, but there's a file in the DoD folder, DoD CFG map cycle. So anything that you put in that file will appear here in the menu. I'll press next to get to the next one. It doesn't automatically do this. You've got to actually manually stick what you want in here, and I have put in all of these with the maps that I've installed on a raw server, and that's why it's important to go and check your maps, and then you have to edit this file if you want them to appear here. There's another couple, yeah. So you can run a map through there. You can select a gun game or whatever you like. Voting, it's the same as player commands. You won't use that much. I mean, who's going to vote here? It's just you and some bots. They're not going to vote. But yeah, I'll show you that anyway. So it's all sorts of voting options, and you can muck around with that. But I've just left it as it is because it's standard. Left the file as standard. And the last one, swap team commands. That's another plugin I've added. That's not standard on SourceMod. What we can do here, because we've got 12, a server size of 16 now, and I'm on Allies. I want to join Axis. Sometimes that works, and sometimes not. The plugin that looks at even teams, balances the teams, might stop you from doing that. And if you can't, if it says the teams are full, you can swap a player. And let's have a look at those teams. You see, I've just made the server imbalance, and the plugin hasn't picked it up. It's not perfect, but we can take an Axis spot and whack them over. So swap team immediately, choice number 1. And when you look at this, you go, oh, which one's Axis and which one's Allies? Well, capital A is Allies and AX is Axis. So we'll just select number 4, swap him over. Now it's even. It's a nice little plugin to use to control the server numbers, make it even or uneven. So if, it's like you don't have to have everything even. You can make the server uneven. You can have 2 bots over one side on certain maps if that's what floats your boat. At least you have the capabilities of doing it rather easily. Okay, what have we done? We've explained most of all the mods. Basically that's it. Your server is set up. If you like the files I have, if you like the way this runs, and we'll just do a gun game next, but if you like it, you don't have to do any more installs. You don't have to touch the files, but you might want some things changed, and they are a pain to do if you don't know, if you haven't been using SourceMod for 10 years like I have, 10 years plus. It can be a bit daunting, but there are some easy edits. So let's just look at gun game for a start. How to get to gun game. There's a lot of different ways. You can do that through the menu. You can put it on now, and a match will start. Turn it on. See, we've restarted. I was rifleman, now everyone's got Tommy guns, and we've started a gun game. The gun game is down in parachutes on. It's not a good map to do a gun game on, but it's still fun. So that's one way. Let's exit out of this. The other way is just you can pick a create server. There's a gun game map, GG. They're all GG, and some are marked GG like that, some are marked GG like that, but they're gun games. And if we start that up, don't want that one. That one there is fine. If we start that up and then say, let's select your bot, go up to 30 maximum.
This server is running 4ATAM's gun game.
No matter what you pick. Just get rid of that admin menu. So we're in gun game on a gun game map. 30 bots are loading. As you can see, the classes are all there, but everyone's got Tommy guns or what, MP40 on the other side. Always get done hard on this map. Yeah. All right, you know what gun game is and how to start it. There's various ways. So we'll just leave this up. So most of you, that's all you need. You can leave the video now. But say you wanted to change something. How does this all work? How do these plugins all work together? Like it says in the guide, there's lots of plugins, and you just saw some of them work. But the ones that do all the hard yards, this one here, extended map configs. This one here, command time traveler, it helps load those bots. You saw DoD's team balancer in action. Swap teams, DoD's equipment. Those are all pre-configured. Something I didn't show you is like DoD's equipment. It is sort of like gun menu. I like it better than gun menu, where you can select your own loadout of ammo and your weapon. So we'll just do that. Create a server again, not that one. Anzio is fine. Go and see what that does. DoDS equipment. I pick. Nice. Okay, first thing you'll notice is I've loaded in a map, extended map config plugin. You can load commands and I can load configs into the game when it starts up. First thing you might notice is the rifleman hasn't got rifle grenades, he's got frag grenades. I've changed that in a config file. I've got a knife and I've got a pistol. That's a different loadout to what's in standard Day of Defeat Source. And that's what this plugin does. It changes your weapons and your ammo types and amounts. I can put in 4 frag grenades instead of 2 rifle grenades if I wish. Go to the next class. I should be able to go over there. Thompson. Normally you have a smoke grenade and a 1-hand grenade. In this case I got 2 frags. A knife and a pistol. Everyone gets a pistol, everyone gets a knife. Except for bazooka class who get, for their secondary, they get a carbine. Go to the next class, but you get the idea. I've adjusted ammo. Everyone gets a knife, everyone gets a pistol, which is not how the standard loadouts are. Sniper gets a knife, gets a pistol. Machine gunner, same ammo, knife, pistol. Bazooka, second, it still gets 8. Got 2 frag grenades, knife, carbine. So that's what that plugin does. How it does it. Disconnect. I've got to leave this up. If we go into our DoD folder, the actual plugin, they're all in SourceMod plugins. There's some of these that are standard in there. That's the one there that if I put that plugin in the plugins folder, all I have to do is run a listen server and then put that SourceMod admin bind in for that command to bring up the menu, and I'll get it. The standard way is to go into SourceMod configs, at least an admin simple INI, and put that arrangement in. Right? There's a whole, people try and understand this for the first time, scratch their head, but basically you go and get your Steam ID in that format and then put that in and you get full admin. And that's all it basically is. But there's a whole lot of editing to get admin, not in this set. Get rid of that. Let's go back to where we were. So that plugin, configuring all these can be a real head scratch for the first time. There's your DoD balancer, the one that balances the teams. And then there's Jetpack, extended map config. That's like a really important base plugin to allow you to put in a config file certain commands, and so each map, when it starts, it's sort of like it works like a server config, and these particular configs that this one controls are really clever. The way it loads and what you can put in them. We'll get out of that and we'll show you that particular one, extended map config, and there's DoD equipment. But we'll have a look at the extended maps config, go back to the DoD folder, and what it's done when it started up, I've already put some in. When it starts Day of Defeat Source for the first time, it makes this folder. Inside that, there are 3 other folders: maps, general, game type. And what these do, in this folder, it will make one called all.config. And in this one, it will make a config file for every map you have that it finds, and then list it like that. in this area here, you can put a whole lot of commands and a whole lot of stuff. And when that map starts, this is the last file that it looks at. There's the all.config. Every time you start a map, it's going to look at this and it's going to look for commands and load them. And there's DoD equipment. I've got a config file that controls all that ammo and weapons, and it will it will run this config and load it into the map. There's 4 different ones. I've put in a folder for you. I'll show you them. But this one here, SM Future, this is a plugin that, like this one, if you put SM Future in a line in these config files, and then you put a time in here, this is 0.1, which equals 6 seconds. It's going to run whatever command you've got quoted here, and it will run it once at that time when the map starts. So what this is doing, I've got a 12-player 6 versus 6, and I'm going to issue a command in 6 seconds, and it's to load an RCBot. Addbot is the command to add one bot. It's got 2 values after it. This first one here, the first number is class. 1 adds an assault bot. There's your class numbers there, from 0, rifleman, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through the 6 classes. So that's the class. This one here's the team. What are the teams? Allies are 2, Axis is 3. So that's what this line does at 6 seconds. The next one adds an assault bot to the Axis side at 7 seconds, and so on and so forth to 16 seconds. What this does, this adding it like this, I get the class that I want on a 12-player server. As you can see, I've got no MGs in here. MGs are 4. So it's that first number we're looking for, MGs. There's 2. When we get to 16, it's going to load 2. Sometimes both of them will end up on one side or the other. It depends on what you pick. Best to pick a rifleman to get absolute even teams, but at 18 seconds, this is 16, at 18 seconds it's going to load all these. All these are set to 18 seconds, which is 0.3. And it will load it if you've picked 16. Well, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. How many assault and how many MGs, rockets and snipers. And it goes on. The more players that come on, the more camp class teams I allow in. You can edit this if you know I want a server full of MGs. Just, who would want that? But you can go through and you can make all these class numbers number 4, and your whole server will be nothing but MGs. I don't know how you would cope with that, but you can edit this quite easily, this one file, and every map will look at it. Unless this one loads and you put something different in it, then that's the final say. This map, it will look at, when the map loads, it will look at for a server config, a listen server config. It will look for all this stuff. It will look at RCBot and look at its files. And but this one, the all.config comes in and then says, no, I've got the last say, and then does this. Whatever's in there. This one here has the very last say. And you can see that I allow everything to load in all.config, so I don't have to edit 1,000 bloody files if I've got 1,000 maps. But when it comes to specialized maps, it needs specialized commands, like a gun game. You can see here I can put in plugin commands. I can put in all sorts of commands from RCBot and other plugins, and I can turn plugins on and off. MB time limit, I can make that 15 minutes. As you can see, I've got that commented out, so that won't work, but it's an option. I like to put a time limit on some maps. some maps and win them within 15 minutes. Otherwise, no one wins. Personal preference. And this one here is looking at the DoDS equipment plugin, and we want it off. So in the all.config, we're turning it on by default, and or the sourcemod.cfg file, which does the same as these. We're turning it off for gun game. And then when the map loads again for another type of map, it's going to turn on again. So it's automated everything. And then we can make some gun game settings in here. So you don't have to edit a file for every map you have. We can just use this one to run it on every map, unless you want something special on that particular map. Then you go in and edit that file to cancel out what you've got in here. All the gun games added do set up the game correctly. Okay, that's what that is. Now the other config files that I've added, CFG folder again. SourceMod adds this folder. The DoD equipment files, which are bloody complex, but once you get used to it, it's okay. For every map, I load this one, and it looks horrendously hard when you look at it. And there's an index of what weapons are there in Day of Defeat and where can I put them. Let's just look at this one here. I start off with the sniper class. The US sniper is this block. And that's configuring, do we strip the weapons? And the yes or no. Yes, we strip them. And then what are we going to put there? What are we going to give the US sniper in its main gun, its secondary, and a knife, right? So we're going to give it a US spring, which is a US sniper rifle, and then a weapon Colt, and then a weapon knife. And then we're going to set the ammo that the weapons get. Obviously, a knife has no weapon, no ammo, sorry. So in this command here, 55, and it's all explained up there, 55 bullets gives you 3 clips. And then 21, 55 bullets gives you 11 main clips, and the secondary gets 3 clips, 21 bullets. It's the same with a sniper, and it's a pain to set up. But if you wanted to muck around with that, you can. It's just understanding how it works. It's all divided up into different classes for a US and a German. And it's so long-winded, but it works really well once you got it set up. So what you can do with these, and I'll show you an example. I've got one that I start up with a map. Let's go back here. There's a special map in here that I've edited, and this is a normal map. It's not a gun game map, but we're going to make sure jetpack and parachute are enabled. They're normally off for all the other maps. You turn them on if you want them. And you can change that. You can go to that all.config and make sure they're enabled on every map. But this one, we're going to turn them on. If they're not, if they're turned off, we're going to turn them on. And next, we're going to muck around with DoDS equipment, and we're going to make sure it's enabled. And then the next line read is this one here. We're going to go DoD equipment all camp config, and that one does something really weird. We'll have a look at that file, I think. Config, SourceMod, all camp, there it is. What's going to do, have a look at, not sniper, go down to the normal classes. What's it going to do to a rifleman? We're going to strip the weapons, yes. We're going to give that rifleman, we're going to give him a spring, a P96, grenades, and a knife. So not the normal American rifle. He's going to be a sniper, and it's the same thing with all the other assault class. They get a sniper. The support class, that they get a sniper. So it completely mucks around. We'll just create that server. That one there. So why is it like that? This mucking around with the classes and giving them a whole lot of different. So I've selected a bazooka. The first thing you'll notice, I got 32 rockets. I got grenades, 3 grenades, and a knife. Right. If I go select, and that click in the background is the plugin saying that's altered the ammo. Cancel that. Wrong key. If I go try and select a rifleman, I'm going to get a sniper with a different loadout again. Tommy gun. Here's sniper again. That's how I've set it in the file. Sniper again. Sniper. There's a sniper. MG's an MG. And this one is dog nuts because it's got a lot of ammo. So I press my little bind for the jetpack. It takes a bit of getting used to. Like I'm up on the top of the very top of the map ceiling. This is a huge map. It might lag you out something chronic. Very hard to hit. You can see what I did there. I've aimed the weapon and I've stopped, and I can move forward now when I take it out of that. And if I let go of the jetpack and press E, I'll get a parachute. There you go. That shows you what you can do, and this is all old hat to someone who operates a server. But to someone new, this is a bit daunting. It's just like I'll try and put in, how to set up these plugins and configure them, but they are pre-configured in this case. One of the places to go to understand how all that works is obviously the SourceMod forums and learn the basics of that. But I do have a dedicated server guy, how to set up a dedicated server in a local LAN, but it's basically the same. And I do have everything more explained, as in this one. You have some downloads. You can download. There's a download in here that supports this one, but the plugins are better explained, and there is a link off in most cases to the SourceMod where you can go and read everything. This is a pretty old plugin, 2009, but it's a good one. It works. You'll learn a lot more about how to configure these. The intent of this download was just to make one to have a bit of fun, and I think it does that. So we're out of explaining everything. Here's the optional stuff. The desktop shortcut. I don't think I've shown you how to edit the map file yet, but it explains you in this part of the article. By default, that's what you're going to get in a map cycle.txt. We'll go off to that. Let me close this. Get back into our CFG. You can see it's right here. Open it up. I've put in this configuration, which is the sample maps named in here. The first thing to know about this file is if it ain't in here, it's not going to be in your SourceMod menu when you go to select a map. You've got to manually put all these in. So your maps aren't going to automatically just appear in here. They'll only be the ones that you edit. And so you can edit. You can put in anything you like. You can put it in any order you like and run it like that. And treat it like a favorites. A selection of favorites to use in the admin menu. You don't have to touch it. You can just, like I said, the way to load on a listen server is unlike a dedicated server. You just create a server, you can pick a map, and you can say if you want friendly fire, if you want 12 bots or 30 bots or whatever, or even something wacky like 13. Put friendly fire on, and just start the game, and away we'll go. Okay, I hope that wasn't too long. It's a complex set of files. They do work. It does produce a lot of fun, I hope. It's the way I play Day of Defeat Source. Of course, I got a custom HUD on there and other things, but that was an example of setting something up from an absolute bare Day of Defeat file set, putting that in and running some mods, which, it's a lot better than just standard Day of Defeat source, which has no bots. Now you got bots, and adding plugins is just another little step. Okay, I hope that helped. See ya.